guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do part one of my 2021 beauty favourites. This was tricky to narrow down and I really tried to go back to the beginning of the year. Honestly, I think I've been fairly consistent, but there have been a few ebbs and flows. At least the first 6 months, the second 6 months, I think I used a lot of the same stuff. Not a lot of new discoveries, but we'll get into it. If you are watching this as I upload it, Merry Christmas Eve! I thought I would post this a day early because I thought you guys would probably be busy with plans tomorrow. I mean, maybe you are today, who knows? But I will be posting the second half of this on Sunday. So if you are not a Boxing Day shopper, if you want to stay in your pajamas all day, there will be something from me for you to watch. So I'm going to kick it off with primer type things. Now, the second half of the year, I've really just gone in with like moisturizers. But the first half for sure, I was more into actual primers. And I'm not usually not primer kind of person. I find that things underneath my makeup, if I then start to put on makeup over the top, it goes all rolly and weird. These things I really liked. I am oily, but I am dehydrated. I am prone to little sluffy bits of kind of dry skin if I've not been too careful with my skincare, if I've over exfoliated like I am right now. And so these are the things that I tend to reach for when my skin is not really at the optimum condition. When I can't just do like SPF or moisturizer and then makeup, I reach for these things. So one is the Pixi Vitamin C brightening priming oil. It says brightening and balancing, which is everything that I'm looking for. It's one of those duo phase products that you have to shake up before you use it because it's two things that you want to mix together. What I really liked about this, because I have dabbled with priming oils in the past. I liked an oil stick from Anyway for a while. I've dabbled with them because, again, I have some dryness sometimes and I want something, but I'm also very, I don't know if it's like an old feeling. I don't even know if this is a thing that happens anymore, but I'm very aware of makeup breaking down from oil because I was so oily in my youth that having an oil underneath makeup seems completely counterintuitive. So I would kind of shy away. This is a completely different kettle of fish. It is oily. Oh, I just dropped that in one of these containers. But it feels, as I'm putting it on my skin, more watery. It doesn't have an oily feeling to it. And once I've put it on, there's a small amount of residue, but it's not really just an oil. Because it is that mix of products, it's really hydrating, but it's not, that feels like it's being absorbed into my skin. It's not just sitting on top. See, there's not really any shine. It just looks like a nicely hydrated hand. So I really liked that. But as we got further into the year, I got really into priming mists. And the reason for this was I started using SPF religiously, and I would do my regular skincare in the morning, do my SPF, go about and do other things, and then come back to do my makeup. So unlike when I do a moisturizer directly before doing my makeup, there wasn't really any kind of slip to my skin. There wasn't really any moisture, I suppose. Everything was just kind of like dry. So I wanted something that I could mist on my skin that gave me that freshly skincare feeling so that my foundation would apply a little nicer, and that's when I reached for these. I've had this Urban Decay Quick Fix for ages. It's the Hydra Charged Complexion Priming Spray, and I found out, this again, I wasn't using this when I should have been, but I found out this had niacinamide in it, which I got really into this year because it's good for hyperpigmentation, it's good for oil control. It seemed to be my wonder ingredient in products. So I used up the rest of this, or very nearly used up the rest of this, and really liked it. I would buy this again. It's also got coconut water in it, so it smells yummy for summertime. And then I replaced it with the PS Vit Fix, which is a priming mist from Primark. And it's got fruit acids, which says boosts skin radiance, aloe vera juice to hydrate, and rose water to refresh. This scent, if I remember correctly, yeah, it does just smell like rose water. But isn't that a nice spray? You know, for a cheap product, I'm getting this everywhere, but it's a really nice mist. And I loved this as a nice alternative. It's probably no better than just kind of a rose water or a glycerin spray, but just to kind of spritz underneath makeup. I don't think it did anything special, but if you are looking for that just on your skincare feeling while having had to wait for your SPF to really sink in before putting anything else on top of it. A priming mist may just be your answer. Moving on to base, let's start with foundation, shall we? I just went and got the other, oh, here it is. Here it is. There are 3 foundations I think that are standouts for the year. I think we started out with the Skin Paradise, which I do really, really still like. I will say that this texture, I've gone back and forth, but I mean, it's just a lovely kind of sheer coverage foundation. But this particular texture can fall into dryness and fine lines. And so I went back to my beloved Fit Me from Maybelline. And it's called Matte and Poreless for a reason, because it's kind of got that like silicone-y, beautiful, airbrushed skin kind of finish. It's so lovely. This one I don't find to be too bad with fine lines. I have reviews on each of these separately if you want to find them on my channel. I have like day tests and stuff. But this is such a nice, every year I use this and I think I must get this in my shade for winter because it's such a beautiful foundation. I really, really enjoy it. And then more recently, I've been into this one, which is the No7 Hydraluminous Moisturizing Foundation. And again, this, I mean, I initially when I got this thought, this is going to be, I mean, shade Calico from No7 is like my everything. This is my ultimate shade match. So I got this and I thought this is going to be quite sheer. It's actually decent in terms of coverage. I can actually mix this with a foundation and get a very nice sheer moisturized type of, like if I am having a very, very dry or dehydrated day, a really, really nice like tinted moisturizer with a decent amount of coverage, because on its own, it's quite medium, I would say. Buildable, yes, but I never really want to do that. But very similar to that Matte and Poreless in its finish. It just doesn't quite have that kind of skin perfecting blur. But really, really nice for winter time when you are a little bit drier. I have 3 concealers which do different things. This is an oldie but a goodie. Also, all my makeup is dirty, but I'm not going to clean it just for a video. Sorry. This is the Bobbi Brown Corrector. The colour is Porcelain Peach. I can't use this super well when I have my nails on, so that's a thing. But basically, it is, if you've already got stuff on this hand, it's fairly high coverage. You can see how high coverage it could be, but it's really nice to blend. It's like, it's creamy, but it's not cream to powder, but almost, because it's a very dry cream. So it doesn't fall into fine lines and dryness in the same way that you would think that it would. I've talked a lot about this, and especially recently when we went to New York and we were wearing masks all the time, I was just using this instead of any kind of base. I was just using it kind of like around my nose, under my eyes here, and not doing a full base because my mask was rubbing that away. You can use this in a multitude of different ways, but I just always want to highlight this because it's very, very flattering in a way you wouldn't necessarily expect. The True Match Eye Cream in a concealer. I'm not massively into concealer in general, but I did quite like this. I liked that it was just a very kind of lightweight liquid. It just gave me a little bit of brightness under the eyes without much of anything else, and especially when I was not really wearing a lot of makeup and I just wanted a bit of something. This was really, really nice. And I think this one kind of crossed over from the end of last year, this Max Factor Radiant Lift. It's got one of those weird, I know some people have a problem with these kinds of like sponge applicators. The only issue with the applicator I've got is that it's difficult to measure how much product you're getting. Actually, you have to really squeeze it, and sometimes you get a lot more than you need, like this. This is really, really similar to that L'Oreal, but with a bit more coverage. So again, very, very liquidy. It does a similar thing in that it's supposed to reflect light and give you that kind of brightness without too much coverage. And again, all of these are really flattering, I find. They're not gonna kind of like sink into any flaws or anything, or like exaggerate anything, providing you blend them out nicely. And then, always important, a couple of minutes after you've put on your foundation or your concealer, or both, just make sure that you go back in and like blend out any creases that might have occurred, because often I'll get like one line where it's kind of, oh, everything's falling into this one line underneath my eyes. Blend that back out again before you powder, because otherwise you're going to powder and set that crease. Sometimes I forget to check, and I do just that. Talking of powder, do you like that segue? I started off the year completely obsessed with this, which is the e.l.f. Under Eye Setting Powder. I'm told this is discontinued now. I haven't checked because that's the kind of YouTuber that I am. It is a super fine powder. I use this all over. So I really just normally put this inner corners of my eyes, kind of like here and on my chin. There, just there, maybe on my nose, but mostly here and on my chin to knock out any shine. Again, it has this blurring quality, which I absolutely loved in this. Again, something that appealed to me about this is it has this kind of like blurring quality, as so many of these like finely milled HD powders do, which just made everything look kind of a little bit soft focus. And under a spotlight, I can't really see any sparkle, which is something that is very, very rare in these HD powders. Usually there's a lot of glitter, which is what creates that blur. It's like a light reflecting thing, but I really can't see. If there is glitter there, it's difficult to spot. More recently, I've been using this one, which is from Primark, the blurred out setting powder. It has a very similar effect. It's not quite as fine, I don't think, as the e.l.f., but it's really, really similar. That kind of soft focus, nicely blurred out without it being too heavy. I don't know if this is going to show up on camera, but by my naked eye, I can see sparkle in this one. Again, it's not as bad as some, which is why I'm including it in my favourites, because there are some that I just cannot use. There's an e.l.f. setting powder, like a face setting powder, that is insane. But there is definitely sparkle here, which, as I say, is usual for this kind of powder. It's not like with some where I've gotten out into the sunlight and it's like, wow, disco ball. It's a very, very small amount. So I can live with that because the sparkle is basically reflecting light and giving me that blur. And although this is not the next step in the makeup, I wanted to also include this in this category because it is still like setting powders, setting mists. These have been my favourite of the year. Obviously the Morphe, this is the same as the one in the black can, by the way. This is just some like Christmas packaging from last year. I got a few in the Black Friday sale, or maybe after Christmas sale, I can't remember. But they were a really good deal because they were selling off their festive packaging. So the gold cans that I show you, still the same as the black. It's, for me, the fine mist. Cannot be beaten. Absolutely beautiful. It, I know I've been talking about soft focus a lot, but that's usually what I'm aiming for. So if I'm talking about favourites, then of course that phrase is going to come up. It's soft focus in a can. If you like to do a heavier makeup and you've gone with a lot of powder and a lot of products, when you put this on over the top, it kind of melts everything together. It takes away any of that too matte, too powdery kind of look that can sometimes come with a lot of makeup. And it just makes everything look like skin. So, so beautiful. It will give you the nicest finish you've ever had, ever, providing you don't have to be super, super matte. If you're like I need to just block out any kind of shine, you're not gonna like this. But it doesn't make you shiny. It just gives you back that natural, actual skin glow. Love it so much. This one is a completely different animal. I got this thinking, because I think this is £16. This was 10, and I thought, well, maybe it's gonna be a similar product for a little bit less money. It's the Missguided Super Fix Fixing Mist. I didn't really read what it was called. I was just like, Missguided, it's a fixing mist, it's an aerosol, maybe it's going to be comparable. It's called a fixing mist. It's not called a setting mist. Like, this is a setting. This different. It's just different. The words mean something. And so I was very wrong in what I was expecting. It actually says on the back, long-lasting fix without stickiness. My first review of this was, this is terrible. I hadn't powdered, I'd just done like foundation, everything else, used this on top and was like, whoa, this is crazy, this looks terrible. It gave me like a film on my skin that was sticky and shiny and horrible, and I hated it. Couldn't understand why anybody would like it. And just kind of like relegated it to, this is gonna be awful. And then I got a few messages from people who love it, telling me how they used it. And one of them that really stuck with me was that they always used a loose powder and then they used this over the top. And I don't know if it needs to stick to that loose powder. I don't know if it needs to have that loose powder to absorb into or what it is, but that was the key. So now if I'm using a loose powder, like the one I've just showed you, I'll use a little bit more than usual over here, here, on like basically my T-zone, to make sure that I've knocked out all of that shine, but there's maybe a little more powder than I would usually want. I will then go in with this mist, and it is really, really good. It gives me, man, he's really up to the snoring in the past. He's looking at me like, I'm not doing anything. He's really up to the snoring in the past like 30 seconds. In case you wondered what that noise is. It's a small, very noisy dog. It gives you a similar look to the Morphe, but it does give shine. So if you, again, are looking for matte, this is not going to be for you. I will go back after this is dry and just kind of like add a little bit more powder just in certain areas around my mouth, my chin, a little bit, because it does still leave a tiny amount of shine. If you like that, this is for you. If you like that like glass skin, even more so. But it really does help to fix your makeup. So when I am doing a full face of makeup and wearing a mask, this is an absolute godsend. I'm wearing it right now. I will say it's very aggressive. So you remember the mist of the setting mist? I'll just remind you, like, ah, beautiful, beautiful. And this is like, it's like a fire hose by comparison. And can you even tell on the camera how different that is? Because it's like, ah. So you have to make sure that you're at arm's length when you put that one on, because otherwise it feels like you just put your face under the tap. So that is it for like base stuff. I'm going to be back on Sunday with colour, pretty much, like eyes, lips, cheeks, all of that stuff. So look out for that in a couple of days' time. I hope you all have a fantastic Christmas. If you are looking for more things to watch, I've vlogged quite a lot over the past couple of months, but I've been vlogging every day this past couple of weeks as well, because I really missed Vlogmas. I did Vlogmas Eve where I vlogged every day in November, but come closer to Christmas I was like, I'm missing this, so I did it anyway. So if you're looking for kind of like some day in the life stuff, you can go and check that out. Otherwise, I will see you on the other side. Bye!